Living in a cold world, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes the things around me, they trip me up. The whole world is falling and they can't get up. And the church is right with them on some Urkel stuff. The rappers telling us to sip that purple stuff. As if we ain't heard enough, you can keep your scissor. I'm not afraid of the fact that I lack backing, cause I went back the way I began and I backtracked it. Listen, whatever happens, happens. I'm a Christian rapper, or rapping Christian. Would y'all please scrap it? That's what happened when the wolves... Actually, what happened was, I was so silly as a kid. I used to start off music as joking, so I was a class clown in school, and I actually thought it was just a super funny way to make fun of people. And me and my cousins, we got a hold of some recording equipment when we were about 14, 15 years old. And so we made this album that was just like a parody album. So we would take any of the popular songs and just turn them into complete jokes. But we would write the whole song. So like Master P had a song, I Miss My Homies. So we wrote a whole song. I really miss my bologna. So even though it's it got old and it started to stink. So we did that. My mom used to let me leave my songs on the voicemail for our house. So I would you would call in and it would be me rapping. And then I used to freestyle in the lunchroom to roast people. And the first day I ever went in the studio, I was just looking in awe like, oh, that's cool, And so I've always been creative and able to just kind of pick up artsy things and just be like, oh, I'll figure out how to do that. And so from there it was a natural progression. I can't say that I didn't grow up like loving music, or I don't have like this deep affection for music. It was just something that started as like a joke. While I was in college, there were a couple of events on campus, and I had some friends that kind of pushed me and was like, you should rap in that, because they knew I rapped. And I would go to this one thing that was like a jazz night, and they had a live band. And I remember just going up and being like, all right, just play whatever, and I'm a rap. And that's what I used to do. And I remember leaving that day and everybody was like tripping. They was like, yo, that was like an unplugged album or whatever. And obviously you get encouraged when people are like telling you stuff like that, just so freestyling on campus. And I would say I probably got really serious about music when I graduated college, because it was like I had accomplished the thing that I set out to do. That was like the one thing that was stopping me from really focusing on music. So once I graduated college, it was like, okay, cool. I'm ready to start going around the churches and doing bookings and stuff like that. And once school was out of the way. One of the first songs I remember is this song called City Boy. That's probably one of the first moments. I was working on a solo album called Work of Art. And it was really, really like a dope album. And then I recorded this song, City Boy, and that was like kind of like a story of my life up to that point. And I was super proud of that. That was probably that first song that just felt like, outside of being featured on someone else's stuff, like a verse or something, that was the first song that felt like, okay, yeah. And then in the midst of that, I kind of rededicated my life to the Lord, so that album had to get scrapped. Sound Doctrine by far for me is one of my most proud moments as a solo artist. That album, more people have that album than any other piece of my music. Just so like the thousands of people that downloaded, that came to listen to it, that still download it. People still download that album a few years later. That album felt so good. It felt so good. When you're recording an album, especially on an independent level, you're always trying to
the budget, of course, is like the hardest thing to chop up and figure out where am I going to put the money. You don't have any money to waste. And with that album, I did not get overwhelmed. And I feel like on so many of my albums, you overthink it, you overdo it, you know. And that was like one of the first times that I felt like it was like I wasn't doing it for anyone to prove anything to anyone, which I do feel like I've done before. I feel like just unconsciously you do things in life to try to like show people like I'm good enough, you know, I'm worth it, I'm whatever. And that was a time in my life where I was getting away from that type of thing and maturing beyond just doing things for people. So that album to me was just a beautiful piece of art and ministry and edifying. And, you know, Afraid to Be Great with my brother felt really good. Those are probably two of my favorite projects because, once again, natural. We went in, we enjoyed it. The message, very strong message. So.
Okay, hold on, man.
You leave some old stuff up there. You good?
Well, I met him about 25 years ago. We happen to have the same father. We're brothers. He's grown a lot. I remember he used to play on the piano and make up secular songs when he was in the world. And I remember back when he even had braids and just seeing him now on this Christ walk, you know, with God. And then not just that, just entrepreneur, corporate guy. So it's like seeing all that from a goofy kid to this businessman, goofy kid to businessman. ATBG, Afraid to Be Great. It was a great concept. We sat down, went and had some dinner. And he gave me the concept of just like, hey, let's do the thing and let's not be afraid to be great. Accept the opportunity, accept the greatness inside of us. And it was an amazing thing. It was dope. We did it live, right in the studio. We did everything in one day, just live. I played the guitar, sung. We even wrote songs that day, so it was fun. It was dope.
When we were in a group, I mean, we were traveling every weekend doing something for some years straight. It became like second nature. And I kind of stayed within the flow of that when I became a solo artist. And then at one point, I felt like it was too comfortable. Felt like music was so comfortable that you didn't even necessarily have to be living up to every aspect of what you're talking about. You know, it just becomes like, oh, this is just what I do, you know? And so I got to a point in my life where I guess you could just say I grew up. You know, we growed. I believe life is about constantly growing. So I hope that I look back on this point, and I think I said that at some point earlier, but I hope I look back 5 years from now and explain to people how I grew from wherever I'm at today. I had gotten to a point in my life where I was like, you know, I don't want to be defined by music because music was never all of me. And I think sometimes I look at people and it's like, man, this person, like something defines them, right? You say Kobe Bryant, it's like basketball. He probably been playing basketball since he was 6 months, right? And for me, I just didn't want to be defined by that. I think I'm much bigger than music. God put much more in me than music. So yeah, I walk away from being an artist. Music completely, maybe not. What I've tried to do the last few years, like I said, is develop myself beyond music. If I'm still doing music, I want it to be a natural thing. I don't want to be the person that stays in something too long, where it starts.
City without lights, without lights, without lights.
I'm here to speak hope to the children. Tell them they don't have to cope with the illness. I'm new to the city and I don't know much. Maybe you can have lunch with the pilgrim. I wanna inquire, see how to inspire. Cause I never seen a city without lights. I never seen a house without love. Okay, maybe I don't get out much, so it's time to do a little outreach. But what if they don't come close when I reach out? I wanna be loved, I can't lie, but it's gonna be hate when I speak out. know when to come home. So they lost in the darkness. And by
About
the time
since
we see
2004.
About 11, 12 years?
Yeah, like 12 years.
Sophomore year, yeah, my sophomore year, so that was 04. Yep.
Yep.
We met at Oakland University. Actually, formally, we met at a One Body Prayer
Well,
organization.
I met him before then.
Oh.
We almost got in a fight on the basketball court, but we became really good friends.
Nah, tell them what happened, dog.
Well, I was waiting to run my pickup game, and we had a little discrepancy between who had next, and I didn't know him. And being that we're both from Detroit, you know,
Got a little chippy, huh?
it got a little chippy, and he challenged my size, because, I'm very short. And the next time after that situation we met was in a Bible study that I was teaching. So it was very awkward. And we just laughed. On a serious note, we just laughed at the end and just chuckled it up. And then we became really good friends. And, one of the things learned really fast, we had a lot in common as it relates to business. And I learned that he was very ambitious. And even then, I understood he was a person that had vision.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very rare. A lot of people are used to leading and following someone's vision, but I saw him as a visionary early so.
That very thing, actually, we knew that, he was somebody different, he wasn't somebody, and those are the type of people that we are, you know what I mean? Like, we were against the grain type guys, you know what I mean? Like, we'd be the ones on campus, screaming Jesus, you know what I mean? While everybody else would be doing something else, but that's kind of like where we were like, growing close together in that area. And he grew interest in our music. We grew interest in his music. And we could tell that, he was a leader right off the bat. And that's what kind of like drew us together in that sense.
Yeah, for sure. And just, just the friendship, you know what I'm saying? I think that's the foundation of everything, just genuine fellowship as Christians. And, just spending time playing a video game and, just relaxing as college students, what college students do, outside of class, if you're not playing basketball, you're doing something else. You're hanging outside, enjoying the weather, or whatever. So just that quality time and building relationship and spending time as friends, that's what really.
Well, first of all, this dude's brain is ridiculous. I say that like confidently. Like I've never seen a guy, work as hard as he has. Even, in college, from his degree, I think we all talked about it before, where the degree that he had was marketing, or not a lot of people went out for those type of degrees because there's a lot of math. And the university we went to, those are like rough classes. But his brain overall, the way how he made sure he never failed. I can tell that one thing about him. He never wanted to fail, and if he did, he was gonna try to get back at that thing and try harder next time so he don't fail. And that's one thing about Jay. Like his brain is ridiculous. His marketing schemes are ridiculous. The way he originally started out, even with J&J Soul, as Gabe talked about, it was one level of thinking, and it was out the box then. Now he's coming out with his own clothing line. He's coming out with a school and all these different types of things. Like, man, where are you even thinking about with these things? Like, man, my mind ain't even conceive none of that. But that's how he worked, man. So.
Yeah, one of the things I learned fast is if you have a place where you want to be in life, you surround yourself with people who have that mindset, and so. Jay has always been an inspiration for me as far as goals and never being satisfied. We could talk on the phone for hours, it seems like, just talking about goals and business and, and what he's doing in his business and what I can implement and what I'm doing as far as my business. And you know, I had the opportunity to watch, like, you know, his growth in terms of his goals and how he's never satisfied. I remember where one of his goals was, man, I just want to have a Monte Carlo. That's my passion. That's my favorite car.
Yeah,
I just got to have a Monte Carlo. Man, it's always been one of my dreams and goals. I saw him once he got the Monte Carlo. I saw him go from Monte Carlo to now he bought his first house with him and his wife, you know. And so it's cool to see the transition from one level to another level, and that's a bit of an extreme, you know, from a college kid just wanting their dream car in Monte Carlo now to an adult who has his own business, and having his own home and stuff. So it's been cool, and it makes me look at my life and say, man, I have to keep up, you know what I'm saying? And I only hope to be able to do that to him as well, you know. You got to keep people that of like mind around you, you know, so.
Man, the funny thing is growth is actually, like if I had one word that was like, what am I about? What has got me to where I am? Even me and my wife talk about that in marriage, like we just are believers in growth. So it's like a lot of times, you know, people stay where they are. It's like if you stay where you are, you're gonna always be where you are. So for me, it's been about moving. It's been about finding places to move and never standing still. Not to the point where you're doing the most or doing too much or it's like looking like you out of control, but just to the point where it's like, man, like last year I wasn't here. Last year I wasn't to this point, and each year, each day trying to get better. I actually had a fashion line before I started doing music. Two of them. I had two fashion lines in college. I had City Boy clothing, and I remember I still have the brochures. I still have everything I created on the computer. And I never actually made the clothes. I remember one day I was on the internet in the computer lab in school. I just typed in cityboyclothing.com. And a website popped up and said, coming soon. It was somebody out of Atlanta. And I was devastated, like, oh, somebody took my idea. I'm thinking this is like whatever. So I was kind of messed up from that. And then getting closer to the Lord, getting serious about God, I started Soul Clothing. And so started Soul Clothing, and I made a shirt. People basically, I still had a list of people who bought it, family, friends, and I just couldn't afford it in college. It was like, it's expensive to try to make shirts and then selling them. But so I moved away from that and then started doing music, you know, with J&J Soul. And that's kind of where the soul from J&J Soul was. You know, I was really stuck on soul. So I wanted that to be a part of the name. So started that, then went into music. And so once I got to the point where I felt like, not like it was winding down, but it was becoming so different, the industry was becoming different, then I started, I came back to fashion. So I kind of started in fashion, went to music, and a lot of more people know me from music originally. So they think fashion is new for me, but that was what I was originally wanting to do. I'm successful. And it is not about necessarily saying that I am successful today, but I'm on the road to success. You know, I'm on that right path. I've made the necessary changes. I've matured in the necessary areas of my life where I needed to mature. And I've also embraced the journey. And success in that definition doesn't necessarily mean that everything that I touch is gold or everything goes well. Like I said, I failed to get to where I am today. It took some failure. Even in my corporate job, I failed to get where I am. So success is just, like I think I'm successful based on that definition. I really do. Like if 2 years from now, people are like, whatever happened to Bellwether Fashion? Whatever happened to Bellwether University? I don't know, maybe it sparked something else, you know, which it already has, really. So.
Surrounded by wolves in the valley of the shadow. Friend no sheep, like a life doesn't matter, that's a lotto. Gotten heard the cries of my people and still told us they're feeling no evil. Surrounded by wolves in the valley of the shadow. Praying on sheep like a life doesn't matter.
That's a lotto.
God heard the cries of my people and still told us there fear no evil.
I'm rapping straight from the Bible, I ain't making this up. They really worshiping idols. I'm stuck on Gilligan's Island, trying to be a survivor while waiting on the arrival of Judah's beautiful line. Blocking all of these lies, the doctrine that they got did not come from on high, but I hope they like surprises when my God arises. All his enemies scatter, rich or poor, it don't matter. Blow the trumpet, show me the goal. Nebuchadnezzar, never could never save souls. So why would I bow down just to escape a tomb? A furnace, men, women, and children, none of them know they role. A weed thinks he's a rose. See, anything goes in this world, but ironically, nothing's gonna go when you gone. It's just you in that tomb, but fear not if you accept the one who rose. He gonna raise you. You thinking first Adam, but I'm talking second Adam stuff, phase 2.
Surrounded by wolves in the valley of the shadow. Brand new sheep like a life doesn't matter.
That's a lotto.
God heard the cries of my people and still told us there fear no evil. Surrounded by wolves in the valley of the shadow. Brand new sheep like a life doesn't matter.
That's a lotto.
God heard the cries of my people and still told us there fear no evil.
This is for my brothers and my sisters in the Mediterranean. We worried about our next show and packing the stadium. They worried about that masked man and what they gonna say to him when he asks. If he asks you, what would you say to him? Me and my house, we gon' serve the Lord. But would you serve the Lord? And they serving swords. Tell me how many times has the servant sworn he would never leave the master, but furthermore, when he's faced with danger in the face of strangers, all of a sudden, man, his language changes. This is Peter, disciple and apostle in the midst of the monsters. He denied the rabbi thrice. So who am I to be self-right when self-righteousness in and of itself is just selfish? This narcissistic system is rapidly making you mad at me, cause the rap I speak is rabbi speech.
So surrounded by wolves in the valley of the shadow. Praying on sheep like a life doesn't matter. That's a lotto. God heard the cries of my people and still told us there fear no evil. Surrounded by wolves in the valley of the shadow. Praying on sheep like a life doesn't matter. That's a lotto. God heard the cries of my people and still told us there fear no evil.